Hi you guys, my name is Cherita and I need an intro. As you can tell by the title of this video, it's going to be kind of a ranty type video. This is something that has been weighing on my chest for a long time, and this is not the first time I have ever brought this up. So what I want to talk about is the lack of diversity within YouTube, and specifically this genre that I am trying to include myself into, which would be the drama / commentary type channel. I really don't consider myself a drama channel only because I'm not receipt based. There are a lot of other drama channels that are receipt based. I just like to give my opinion. And the reason why I decided to come into this niche or, into this community is because I was seeing the same thing presented over and over and over and over again. And there were no differences in between, like, this drama from this drama channel to this drama channel. It was like everybody thought the exact same way. I am a very open-minded type person. Of course, I've never been this way. I'm an older individual, so I have a lot of life lived more than a lot of these other channels. And not only that, but I view it from the perspective of an outsider looking in, and also as a black woman in America. And I probably lost 90% of the people the minute I said I'm black. Obviously you guys can tell, but I don't okay, so from what I've learned and understood from being in this community is white people support white people, people of color support people of color, and that's just kind of how it's been. I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like a lot of non-white people support people of color. And by support, I mean befriend them or shout them out or, things like that. It's like everybody has their little cliques and everybody just kind of like harbors in this one like viewpoint, So you have your big drama channels who gives just kind of one perspective. I'm always looking on the outside going, well, but what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And what about that? But me being a black woman and I point certain things out, I get attacked and people be like, well, you're being sensitive or you're being this or you're being that. And it's like, well, no, I'm telling you how I feel as a black person, as a black woman, and who are you to invalidate my feelings? And when my feelings are not validated, and of course they're going to be validated by people that have the same experiences as me, but when they're not validated by people who refuse to look at what I have to say, and they immediately just want to go, no, you're just saying that because you're black, or you're just saying that because this or because that. And it's like, okay, how about you pause, time out, take a step back, and listen to what people have to say. Don't listen to respond, listen to understand. I grew up on an Air Force base. I grew up as being the only everywhere I went. I was always the only black person here, the only black person there. I remember when I was maybe about 10 years old. So I was a gymnast growing up, and we had the local newspaper. This is, girl, y'all, sisses, folks, people. This is how old I am. We had the local newspaper come out and take pictures of my gymnastics club. And when the newspaper came out, now there weren't a lot of us because, like I said, I was on an Air Force base. There were not, a lot of people. There were not a lot of gymnasts, whatever. When that newspaper came out, now mind you, I was the only not just black person, but person of color. I was the only person of color at that facility. And when the newspaper came out, they had all these beautiful pictures of every single white person, all of them. They were like a grand total of 7 of us. So, they had this person's face and this person's face and this person's face and blah, blah, blah. And they took pictures of me, but did my face or my body make it into that newspaper? No. You know what made it into that newspaper? My feet. And so my mom called that newspaper and was like, this is unacceptable. You're basically showing that gymnastics is only for white people, because I don't care who you are, representation matters. Fight me if you want to, I will win, because representation matters. And my mom fought and fought and fought. Do you know they came out and did a whole story on just Cherita? Because that's not okay. My mom wasn't fighting for me to be the center of attention. But when you have all these other faces and then all you get is a black person's feet, that's not okay. I don't care who you are, how you look at it, it's not okay. And I know, well, that's if people watch this video, because what I've noticed is when it comes to the demographics, I'm failing. So I can talk about Black Hollywood, I can talk about white pop culture, there's a lot of things that I like to talk about. When I first started YouTube, I was like, Cherita is random, because I have a lot on my mind. I like to talk a lot. So I started talking about everything. All my cheerleading content was here. So I was like, cool, I'm gonna make my own cheerleading channel, but there's still things that I want to talk about. I love to talk about social justice. There's a lot of things that I like to talk about, because I feel like who is going to be the voice of reason for all of this white YouTube drama? Who's going to be the voice? Who is going to be the voice of reason where everybody has one view, but what about the other side? And nobody ever wants to look at the other side, and the minute somebody says something about the other side, we're sensitive. We're thinking too deep. But nobody ever wants to validate our feelings or our experiences. So anyways, I like to talk a lot. So cheerleading took off, I branched out and made that my own channel. Then I still talk about this stuff. I talk about anything that is happening in pop culture or mainstream, I talk about it. And then I see the difference, and I know I shouldn't compare myself. I really don't know how to explain it, because yes, I compare myself to, well, this person talked about this. I talked about the exact same thing. How come they get these views? And it happens in every single community. I like to plan. I have, these are all happy planner stickers, okay? I love to plan. Like I'm old, it's something I like to do. The same thing happens in the planning community. There's a new collection of stickers that came out. These stickers are very inclusive. They include not just white people, they include brown people, black people, they include curvy people, they include, you know, just different body shapes and body types and hairstyles and whatever. Do you know there was a huge blow up because there were so many white people saying, I don't really like this. It's not really for me. But I do like this other collection where it was just all white women, and people were calling them out. If you don't want to see diversity, Miles, are you okay, baby? Are you going potty? Go back to sleep. All right, go back to sleep. I have no idea what I was saying. I literally have no idea what I was talking about. Mommy duties. I think I was talking about the whole planner community and how people were upset because they were including diversity within their stickers. Oh yeah. And so there was like a line that had like girls in there, you know, like in the stickers, and nobody complained about that. But the minute they included like people of color, people were like, well, why do they have to be black? Why do they have to do this? Why do they have to do that? And it's like, why are some white people so attacked by inclusion? It is so frustrating. And then those same people get upset when black people make their own spaces. Well, if there was something as WET, like white entertainment television, that'd be racist because, you know, we had to make BET because we were tired of seeing the same stereotypical black people within these white shows. So heaven forbid that we make our own show. The only show that we had growing up was The Cosby Show. That was 1 out of 1 trillion white shows. You know what WET is? ABC, CBS, CNN, like it's all there. But the minute that somebody introduces diversity, people would be like, oh, well, if it were the other way around. It's always the other way around. But nobody wants to have these uncomfortable conversations. I think that's where it gets frustrating because I have uncomfortable conversations all the time. But I'm not rude. I listen to the other person's side, and unless they're rude to me, then I'm just like, I said what I said and goodbye. And I make them feel about this big. But for the most part, I'll listen. Because for example, let's take the Jeffree Star concealers. So I got on Jeffree Star because he is so big on inclusion and, you know, and like calling people out for this, that, and the other. And then he put out his line and I was like, that's all you got? Seriously? And then this young lady came to me and was like, you know, I think it's a perspective type thing. And I asked her, well, what do you mean? And she goes, well, I see, and she was a very pale individual. She goes, I honestly see 12 as, you know, white people type deal, and I see the last 12 as like people of color. And I was like, well, I've never thought of it that way because I'm looking at it as a black woman. I'm looking at it as a black person. So I see the last 5, 6, 7 colors as these are the only colors that maybe can suit my family and all of my cousins and my aunties and my uncles. And then as soon as that girl told me, she was like, this is how I see it. And I said, you know what? You're right, because perspective is everything. And I started saying the same thing. And I was like, it's perspective, perspective, perspective. However, of course I have to put that in there. If Jeffree had a strong black person to say, hey, this isn't it for black people, maybe the line could have been extended more or whatever. And again, I'm not saying that what he started out with is trash, but for somebody who nitpicks at every single brand that comes out with a shade range that isn't good enough, he should have came out with something better. Now, I'm not saying he should have came out with 100 shades like that one company did, but if he has somebody like myself or somebody who's not afraid to be like, Jeffree, this ain't it. If he has somebody like that on his team, things like this would not happen. Because don't get me wrong. I was waiting for that launch and I was waiting and I was like, I'm gonna be the first one to say something. Because all he does is talk about all these brands. That's all he does. He talks about all these brands. They're not inclusive. They're not inclusive. They're not inclusive. But he had nothing to say about, what was it? Was it Elf? I think it was like Elf or somebody. And their shade range was trash. But I think he got paid or whatever. I don't know. However, his shade range was better than the one that he promoted. On the other end, if you're going to go that hard on a shade range, you need a person of color, a black person who's going to be like, that's not good enough. That's what you need in your side. I'm not saying that me and Jeffree have to be friends, but he needs somebody to be like, sis, that's not good enough. All of these yes people, all these yes men, it's not okay. But people, like manipulative people, have their way of doing and saying certain things. But at the same time, when a person of color or when an oppressed group says, hey, they're not it, you have to believe them. You can't believe that everybody is just hating on them for the sake of hate. I promise you, people don't want to hate. Basically, what I'm getting at is, on Al Gore's internet, there is something wrong with how people are being exploited or shown or whatever. Because, like I said, I talk about the same things that all these big drama channels talk about. But my biggest watchers are people who are close to me and allies. And that's it. And I promise you, I'm not complaining. I'm not like, well, woe is me. But it's so frustrating, and not just to see, like, not just from my perspective, but from everybody else's. So I posted this thing on Twitter, and I was like, yo, like, yes, there's a lack of diversity for people of color, because once again, Jackie Aina is the most successful person of color on YouTube with 3 million subscribers. I can guarantee you there's more, and I mean, makeup wise, I can probably tell you about 10 white people that do the same thing that she does that are ahead of her. She has 3 million. James Charles has lost 3 million, and he's still at like 13 million. And I get it. I understand Jackie is an older woman. I see you, girl. But the thing is you can't sit there and say that it has nothing to do with the race. I was watching a video by As Told by Kenya, and she said that, you know, she heard some lady go, even though I'm white, I watch Jackie Aina. Okay, so you as a white person, you go, I understand I'm white, but I still watch Jackie Aina. But you expect everybody else to watch the white people that you watch. You expect every person of color, every man, every woman, every trans person, it doesn't matter who they are, you expect them to know who you're talking about when you go, oh my God, did you hear about James Charles? Why would they? They're not a white gay male under the age of 21. So why do you expect everybody to know about all these other people? Why? And I'm giving my perspective, but nobody else wants to hear it except for Black people who follow some of this drama and allies. That's it. That's all. And I don't do this because I'm like, ooh, I just want white subscribers or this, that, and the other. I do it because I love drama. I honestly do. Like, I love to hear, like, me and my friend, I like, did you hear? And did you hear? And did you hear? Like, and why not talk about it from a different perspective? But nobody else wants to have these uncomfortable conversations, except for y'all know who you are. You guys know who you are. And I've been watching like some of these diversity, you know, like, why is there no diversity on YouTube, you know, commentary videos? And they all feel the same way that I do. They all feel the same way that I do. And it started from this trip to Fiji where they invited 30 teenagers, and out of the 30, 2 were Black, 1 was biracial, 1 was Asian. The rest of them were white. And people would be like, well, maybe it's because. No, there's no maybe it's because. You need to go and look for it. And hence my next comment. So I posted this tweet on Twitter, and I was like, who are the Black drama / commentary channels that cover all topics? Because like I said, I like to talk about everything, not just white beauty guru shit. I like to talk about everything. And you know what everybody kept saying? Petty page. Petty page, petty page, petty page, petty page. Okay, cool. We know, obviously I know who Petty Page is. Like, if I know who Ashley Kyle is, if I know who Nick Snyder is, if I know who Peter Mon is, if I know who Dustin Daly is, like, if I know who Here for the Tea is, if I know T-Spill, like all of these people, I know who they are. But what do they all have in common? And the point that I was trying to make here is, yes, we know who Petty Page is, but who else is there? Because you can think off the top of your head how many white drama channels there are, but besides Petty Page, who are the other black drama channels that covers everything? And I'm not saying, I mean, obviously they cannot speak from a perspective of, you know, as a person of color, but Petty Page has similar views to how they feel about certain situations. But who is a voice of reason to be like, whoa, what about this? But the thing is like, once you go, hey, what about this? They block you out. I'm not saying they all do. I'm just saying that's the masses. They block you out. And now you can't say what you want to say. And that's why I posted that video about the payroll thing. Number one, in that video, I never said anything about a payroll. It was literally a metaphor. But everybody took it to their hearts. And it's like, well, but why? Why did you take it to your hearts? Like, I had people block me because of it, but I'm a hater. I'm not a hater. I'm literally just trying to understand why. Why? That's it. I come from a place of trying to understand. I don't hate people. I'm an empath. And it sucks because I feel what everybody else feels. Anyways, I've rambled on enough. This raw footage is almost 30 minutes long. But honestly, like, these are conversations that need to be had. And I will be doing a separate video about black and people of color channels that people need to be watching. Because obviously, James Charles ain't it. Trisha Paytas ain't it. Like, the things that people of color have been saying for years is coming to fruition. And y'all need to listen to understand, not listen to respond. I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate if I get any views. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. Also, do not forget to link up with me on my social media. All of that information will be down below in the description box. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until my next video, I'll see you guys later. Bye!